All right. So welcome, Facebook. This is Jenisys Walters with Jenisys Solutions Type 2 Diabetes. And today we're going to be talking with a special friend and guest of mine, Yazmin Roman, who is here today to talk about her journey and her health, some of her health challenges that she's had up until now, and then the added diagnosis of diabetes on top of some of her other challenges that she's had. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the way that she's been addressing those issues and those challenges and how she feels now. We're going to talk about emotions because there's a lot of emotions that run very high when it comes to diagnosis of different kinds of medical challenges. And we're going to talk about how Yazmin and her family and her husband have actually managed those feelings and managed those emotions, because they run the gamut from really angry to depressed to feeling low to feeling like not wanting to stay on the program to being really stringent on the program, a whole host of emotions that kind of go along with that we want to talk about, because we don't usually address those things. We always talk about all the positive things when you're making a lifestyle change, but there's a lot of challenges that come with that. We want to discuss those things today as well. So just a little bit about who I am. Again, my name is Jenisys Walters, and I'm with Jenisys Solutions Type 2 Diabetes, and I am a long-time type 2 diabetic of over 30 years, and have actually overcome some major medical issues with the disease and almost lost an eye and almost lost a leg to the disease. And it was at that point that I decided, you know what? I want to live. I don't want to kill myself like this and go out like that. I have to make some changes. And so I made some changes in my life to the point where I'm now off some medications. My sugars are, normal, and I'm able to now bring the message to people that are like myself or who are looking for a healthy lifestyle change, to let them know that it can be managed. And in many cases, it can actually be reversed. So let's talk to my guest today. I'm going to introduce my friend and my guest, Yazmin Roman. And hi, Yazmin.
Hey.
How you doing? Say hello to Facebook and the audience and then my Jenisys Type 2 group. Say hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
It's a pleasure to be here, and I hope that whatever I've gone through kind of helps someone else.
Yes. And at some point during the interview today, we're going to also bring on her husband, Rick, who has also been working with some challenges and medical difficulties himself, but has overcome some of those challenges. And the good thing about Rick is that being part of the family and being Yazmin's husband, he's done a lot of the research. So sometimes we don't know what to do and we don't know where to turn. But in this case, Yazmin's husband actually took the initiative and just did a whole lot of research and did some studying and reading on some of the things that we could do or that they could do as a family to kind of manage their medical challenges. And so we're going to talk to him a little bit later. But I want to start off with you, Yazmin. I've known Yazmin for quite a few years. We used to work together many, many years ago. But then, now we have reconnected again on social media and now in our personal lives. And it's just been a wonderful journey of friendship, colleague, and friend, and spiritual sister, and all of that. And so I just want to introduce again Yazmin, and I want you to kind of start off, Yazmin, by giving them a little backstory of your family, how you grew up, a little bit of your Latin culture and the kinds of foods that you guys used to eat, and what do you eat and what do you love? And just tell us a little bit about that. Educate us.
Okay, so my native language, or my first language, is Spanish. I was born in New Jersey, and at the age of 13, I moved to Puerto Rico, where my family is from, and my high school years and my elder years, where a lot of impacts happen, the more major impacts happen. So the Puerto Rican culture is really instilled in me. And I love my culture. It's rich in foods and flavors, in music. I mean,
Dance, all of it.
right, talent, right? You got Mark Anthony, Jennifer Lopez. I wish I
Telling
was them,
you.
but I'm not.
Yeah, but you're part of the culture, girl.
Yes, but I do have the culture. So I stayed in Puerto Rico until, I became an adult. And my father actually had diabetes, and my father went blind in one eye, and the other
Mm,
eye was in the process of going in diabetes. I mean, sorry, going blind. So I know the impacts that this can have. My father went into sugar shock. He went into sugar coma. He went,
mm.
I've seen it all. But you're young. You think that that's never going to happen to you. You're invincible. Well, later down the line, I moved back to the States. I wanted to come back here to really raise my kids over here. Things in Puerto Rico, are a little bit different when it comes to raising a family, the educational system, even though we're so rich in a lot of cultures and foods and all of that. I just wanted to raise my kids where they can get a little better education because the school system over there isn't good. Plus, my son had a bleeding disorder, and they couldn't diagnose him exactly. I kept getting three or four different diagnoses, and they kept pricking him. And he was 2 years old at the time.
Oh,
So I made the decision to move back to the States. I told my mom, I'm going to get him good doctors. So we finally got him diagnosed, and my son came out to have what's called a bleeding disorder. It's within the hemophilia family, but it's
mm-hmm.
not considered hemophilia because it's not a deficiency in factor 8 or 9. It's actually a rare one, which is a deficiency in factor 10.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it's something that is passed on normally from mother to son,
Gotcha.
because it's found in the woman chromosome, in the
So
woman gene.
do you have a bleeding disorder as well then?
I do have a bleeding disorder. It's light. It's light, but I do have one.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. So we got a
And
little bit of your, go ahead.
And so then I had my daughter, and normally that doesn't happen in women, or 1 out of 500 cases are women. So I had my daughter. They told me she wasn't going to have a bleeding disorder, and she actually was worse than my son when she was born.
Wow.
So
Wow.
we just started, that's where my journey started into finding ways to make things better.
Gotcha.
So I helped them. So we helped them where they needed, because they don't have what's it called, a medication exactly for the deficiency in factor 10. I had to find other ways. So normally you have to get enriched in vitamin K, and that's where I started adding more greens, because vitamin K greens, the darker the green, the richer in vitamin K it is. And
Gotcha.
that's where I started with my children. Further down the line, I got diagnosed at 21 with Graves' disease, which is a thyroid issue.
Yeah.
Um, God cured me from that. I never had Graves' disease again. It took 9 months, and God cured me, my mother's prayers. I then had thyroid disease when I got older. They told me that now, instead of hyperthyroidism, I was hypo.
Oh,
Um, I was also diagnosed with lupus about 6 or 7 years ago, and 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And then,
wow.
of course, about 3 months ago, was it in December, I was diagnosed with diabetes.
So you've had several medical challenges. And
Yes.
so I can't even imagine what it's like to have those different diagnoses, one after the other. But I do want to talk about your emotional well-being in terms of all of those different things. How do you manage that? How do you get one diagnosis and then later on in your life you get another one, and then you get another one, and then to top it off, you get a diabetes diagnosis? How do you deal with that emotionally?
It's an up and down it's an up and down roller coaster, of course. Roller coasters. You have different types of roller coasters, and I feel like I have one of the it has loops and dives and
Yeah.
ups you wouldn't believe. I just think that I've always dealt with things in my life through humor.
Yeah.
And I've always tried to have a positive outcome. So yes, I do have my down days. I do have my low days. But then, I sometimes find joy in little things that happen here and there, and then I try
Mhm.
to make it grow from there.
Gotcha.
So, and you have to have a good support system as well, good friends, all around, and a good team of doctors that really listen to you and to your needs and to your wants and which way you want to, give you a voice in your journey.
Okay. So when you got the diagnosis for diabetes, which is most of the audience will be a diabetic audience or people that have had other issues like yourself. How did that then get you to kind of start thinking about, okay, now I've got to address this? What did you think about first? Well, first of all, how did you feel when you got the diagnosis of diabetes? Were you upset? Were you like, oh no, not another one, or something else to deal with, and I just can't manage this. This is something else.
Well,
How did you react?
so I was not happy,
I bet.
definitely not happy. I didn't know that I was pre-diabetic about 2 years ago,
Okay.
but I stayed pre-diabetic, so I didn't really think much of it for a little bit. Then when I went to see my doctor about a year ago, I think it was a couple of months after my husband's heart attack in 2020,
Uh-huh.
um, and he told me that now I was diabetic. I was I was devastated because I was still struggling with my lupus at the time,
Yeah.
and I had just gotten a fibromyalgia diagnosis as well. So I felt devastated, honestly, because I just took me back to my dad and knowing everything that comes with diabetes on top of having everything with lupus because they are similar symptoms.
Yeah.
And I already knew how fibromyalgia and lupus were affecting me. I said, and then I'm thinking, oh, now I have diabetes.
Right.
And then you think about, what do I do now? What kind of medication? And I'm someone that I do not like taking medication. Medication is like my last resort for everything.
I want to
Because
talk
it
about
happens.
that. I want to talk about your not wanting to take medication because a lot of people manage their illnesses with medications of some sort, right?
Mhm.
Whether it be holistic or whether it be the medicines from, regular medicines from a pharmacy or the doctors recommend. How did you decide that you did not want to take medication to actually manage your diabetes? How did you arrive at that?
It was more forced than anything. I did fix my diabetes when I first got my diagnosis because I started changing. I didn't change my diet per se, but I started adding other things into my diet and
Mm-hmm.
just portion control. I didn't let go of any of the carbs. I didn't let go of a lot of sugars or anything like that. I just did portion control, and
Okay.
that made a difference after like a couple of months. And then I ignored it again. This time around, when I got diagnosed now, it was severe. My husband took me to urgent care and I was over 500.
Wow.
And they gave me metformin like they give everybody else, and they
Yeah.
gave me the fast release. And we went and got it. I took it and it just started making me sick. I just started feeling sick a little bit. And every day I took it, I had to take it twice a day, one in the morning, one in the evening. And the more I took it, the worse I got. By the fourth day, I was just so ill. I was bedridden because I was
Oh,
so ill.
wow.
So, and that was the day that I called you and I started telling you about it. And I called my doctor on Friday. She saw me and she said, let me give you the extended release. Let's see how that works with you. We'll do it one time a day for now, just to see how your body, reacts to it. And then we'll just take it from there. I said,
Mm-hmm.
sure, because these were extreme measures. And she gave it to me. By the time the pharmacy, gave me the prescription, it was about 2 or 3 days after. When I took the one pill, it made me worse than the
Wow.
fast rapid release.
Wow.
I was so ill, I was about to pass out. I was ill. I couldn't talk. It was the worst feeling. My husband got so scared he was gonna about take me to the emergency room. About 30 minutes or so after he's saying, let's go to the emergency room. I can't see you like this. He started reading um, all the side effects, and I got all the worst side effects from the pill, all of
Oh,
them.
wow.
And I just said, I'm not taking it tomorrow, and I'm just going to have to call my doctor and let her know. So fortunately, it was a Monday. I was in bed still because that had happened on a Sunday. The doctor called me, her nurse called me to see how I was doing on the new pill. And I said, I'm not taking it. It just made me deathly ill. I gave her all my symptoms. And when they called, she said, okay, let me call you back. And when they called me back, they said, hey, I told them I like to try to do things holistically. Am I okay to do it holistically for right now? And they gave me the go ahead. So with my
Okay.
doctor's permission, I did try to go. I'm going holistically with all of it. So that
Gotcha.
means I'm into the supplements, into the teas. My husband got on the computer. He started researching everything because it scared him. It scared him to see that what's supposed to make me feel better or it's not. It's making me feel worse.
Wow, that's interesting. So you're not the only person that I've heard of who has a bad reaction to metformin. Um, I was on metformin for years, and in fact, I still take one. What I would like to do is to be able to come off all of my medications. I didn't get any adverse reactions, but I've heard so many people say that they do have an adverse reaction to metformin, or when they initially start taking it, it messes with their stomach. They get all kinds of real pains in their stomach. They get all kinds of other, adverse side effects, and it's just not a good experience for them. So for you to
Mhm,
get all the worst ones, I can understand why you
mhm.
decided not to do it. But let me ask you this question. You said that you had called me. How did you find me after all these years? How did you, you know, to get to calling me about your situation and then getting in touch with me in terms of your condition?
Well, luckily, we were on Facebook. We've been Facebook friends for a while,
For a
and we've
while.
been
Yeah.
following each other. I mean, but I guess life gets in the way and things get in the way. I had reached out to you prior to that, just to see how you were doing. For some reason, I just wanted to reach out to you and know how you were doing and say, hey, I'm still here. Call me. Are you still in Atlanta? I really wanted to get with you. And then oddly enough, a week later, I get the diagnosis, and I did see that you were doing this thing for, diabetics. So I reached out to you in regards to that. And that's when you and I had this conversation about, mental health and other things that, affect uh, everything and
It
anything and
does.
any
It does.
diagnosis,
It
basically.
does. And you actually touched a little bit on that, how you felt when you got the diagnosis and how it affected you. How did it affect your family? I mean, I knew your husband was concerned to the point where he wanted to just rush you to the hospital already. But how did it affect your daughter? How did it affect your family as a whole overall in terms of this new diagnosis? And now there were some additional changes that had to
Mhm.
happen in order for you all to exist together. How did that affect them?
So my daughter was shocked. My son, he doesn't show like a lot of emotion. He's an emotional person, but he kind of keeps it to himself. My daughter's more
Uh-huh.
a little dramatic in showing her
Uh-huh.
her emotions. So they were both shocked. My daughter showed it more, but my son no longer lives here. He comes to visit, and he asks frequently how I'm doing. But my
Mhm.
daughter, she sees it at first. She said, "You can't eat that rice. You can't eat this." And being Puerto Rican, rice goes with every meal. Rice goes
Exactly.
with every meal. Potatoes, rice. And then being you know living in North, you're surrounded by Italians, so you're surrounded by a lot of rich Italian
Pasta.
food, which is pasta.
Right.
So it's all comfort food. and
Yeah.
to and to not be able to touch it, or eat it, and breads, everybody, bread goes with everything too.
Everything. Yes, exactly. So let's talk about that. How have you been able to now, given the diagnosis, how have you been able to now maintain or control the bread fixes and the pasta and the rice and the Latino food that is heavy in carbs? How did you incorporate all those changes into your life where it's at least now comfortable? What did you do exactly? What changed at first?
Well, after getting angry, right? Because you get
Yeah,
angry, you don't want to be restricted or feel like you need to restrict yourself.
right.
Because I can't be on a medication like metformin, I felt like I needed to go extreme.
Gotcha.
So it was the just knowing what metformin did to me and how I felt through that and how scary it was. It was either I push through and or I get worse, and
Gotcha.
I don't want to lose a limb. I don't want to lose my eyesight. I don't want to, I feel like I'm still young, and I want to be there for all my kids' milestones, where they don't have
Right.
to worry about me. I still get to worry about them.
Right. So let me ask you, what's different now with the way you eat than before the diagnosis? What changed drastically, or what has changed maybe incrementally? What has changed? What's different now versus then?
Just the combination, my food combination. So before, my typical meal would, out of 7 days a week, it would be rice 5 days a week or 4 days a week, or I would have pasta in between. The days I didn't have rice, I had pasta or potato.
Hmm.
And bread, I love bread, but I never really ate a lot of bread, but I
Okay.
do love it. Like and now that I feel like I can't have it because it's one of the worst triggers that I have having this
Ah,
diagnosis. It's now that I want it, but as time goes by and you kind of get used to your changes, then I don't feel like I need it as much. But it was hard. It was really hard, but what helped me was my husband. He's behind me,
yes.
so he helped me. He said, "I'm going to go on this journey with you."
Oh,
So that you need that sometimes. Sometimes we get diagnoses and we feel alone, like nobody else has it, or we have several of them, and you just feel down. And just knowing that he would be there for me was a lot of help, actually.
so I think this might be a good time just to kind of introduce him and bring him in for a few minutes, if you don't mind.
I
Rick,
don't
can you
mind.
can you come onto the camera for us, please? Bring your chair up, pull your chair up. So,
Hello.
hi, I want everyone to meet Rick Roman. This is Yasmin's husband of how many years, Yasmin? 20 something years?
21 years.
21 years.
21 years. Can you imagine? 21 years of married bliss, right? So I want you to meet Rick. So everyone, this is Rick Roman, and I want him to kind of introduce himself and talk about some of the medical challenges that you have had in terms of how you've handled it. And we've already bragged on you about how you did all the research and how you were concerned about your wife and the results that she was getting from the metformin and the adverse reactions that she was getting. I want to talk to you about how that affected you and some of your challenges. So let's just go for it and talk about some of the things that you were going through.
Well, my name is Rick Roman. About 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I had a heart attack
Yeah.
because I wasn't taking care of myself. I was eating a lot of fried chicken, junk food, and I started my medication about 3, 4 months before that day. And I guess my body didn't react too well, and I had a heart attack and I almost died. And
So let
that
me
gave
ask you this, Rick. You said you were taking medication and you stopped taking it. What was the medication for? For your heart or for something else?
No, I was taking medication for high blood pressure, cholesterol,
Ah,
all that stuff. Yeah, before that.
and
Hmm.
you stopped taking your blood pressure medication?
Yeah, because I was taking about 8, 9 different medications all together, and it got me a little depressed taking all that medication, and I stopped them altogether. And that was a big mistake, and I almost paid for it. I almost died.
Yeah.
And give me a little bit of perspective how to see things, and since that point on, I've been trying to better myself and all that, but I wasn't doing a good job. And
So
what gave me the big change was the struggle that she went through that day that she was playing. And I was like, no, we need to do something to change our life. And I mostly did it to help her.
Uh-huh.
And I realized that helping her is also helping me.
Absolutely it is. But I want to know where you got your medical degree from, because you playing doctor and taking yourself off of medication like cold turkey. Don't you know that you're not supposed to stop blood pressure medication like that cold turkey? You didn't know that before?
No, I didn't, because I wouldn't stop. I wouldn't
Okay,
done that.
so guess what? Wherever you got that medical degree, take it back.
Yeah, that was a
Take it
big
back.
mistake. Big mistake. I almost paid for it. Yeah.
Yeah, that is nothing to play with. I mean, other things I could see, but your blood pressure medication to stop like that, they usually wean you off when if your blood pressure is good and you're exercising and you're doing the right things and you're eating well. Doctors usually like to wean you off slowly off of that to see how your heart takes it. Because if your heart has become dependent on a particular heart pressure or blood pressure medication, and for you to just stop it cold turkey, that sends the heart into shock. And that's exactly what happened. So glad you're here to tell your
It's,
story. Thank
it's actually going
God.
to be 2 years in
Yeah.
February 13th. So the day before Valentine's Day, he
The
had,
day before Valentine's Day. And guess
yeah,
Yeah.
when this is going to be airing on Valentine's Day? This interview is going to be airing on Valentine's Day. So this is going to be a celebration of life for both of you, but especially you, Rick, in terms of you're here to tell your story and that you're taking it differently now in terms of how serious it is to take stock of your health and to take care of yourself. And not only yourself, but to help take care of Yazmin too and your family.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So tell us about the research thing. What got you into doing the research?
But the blood sugar and all that, I was looking into how can we lower our blood sugar, because mine was a little high as well, not as high as
Uh-huh.
her. And all the research led me to a keto diet. So I've been looking into more into keto diet and all that stuff, and it seems like it's working pretty good for us.
well, he first started with supplements is where he
Okay.
first started because he was
Okay.
focused on lowering the sugar level. So before we started with the diet per se, we decided, okay, no rice, no potato, because we know that those are simple carbs,
Uh-huh.
and no bread. So that's the first thing we did. And then he started looking into supplements that would help lower the sugar. And we
Okay.
started with cinnamon. So we started with cinnamon, and then little by little, we just kept reading more and researching others. And that's how our list of items that we use started growing.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about some of those supplements later. And I want you to show our audience some of those supplements that you guys took or take. Because I'm sure that people are now curious to know, what are you guys doing that's, helping you to be so much more healthier than you were in the past. So we're going to talk about that. But I wanted to kind of ask Rick another question about the cooking. I understand you're a cook, Rick. Inquiring minds want to know about that, how you're cooking and especially that meal that I saw today. If those are examples of what you can do, I guess what we're coming to your house for dinner, because it looked really good. It really looked good. So tell us about that.
But the idea behind it is that you can control what you actually put in the food versus going to a restaurant or getting something already pre-made
Yeah.
that you don't know.
Oh, wait a minute, something happened to the sound.
I'm sorry, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, all of a sudden I lost you.
And with cooking, you can control what you're putting into the food and all that, and control the sodium and all that. And that's what one of the main things that led me to start learning how to cook steaks and chicken and all that good stuff.
Wow. Did you always like Brussels sprouts and those kinds of vegetables, or you just kind of learned how to like those things?
Kind of learning, because it's the asparagus and Brussels sprouts they got. It's a weird
It's an
flavor, but
acquired taste, yeah.
you have to get around them, and eventually you learn how to love them. It's not that easy. Yeah.
But you cooked it with seasoning, or it looked like it was really seasoned well, your food. And sometimes with new vegetables, it's a learning curve in acquiring a taste for them. Brussels sprouts is one of those things for me. Even though I grew up in England, where Brussels sprouts is a very common vegetable that they eat, I didn't always like it because it was bitter for me. But then I've learned to love Brussels sprouts because the way I cook them or roast them, or the way I prepare them, and I've grown now to love Brussels sprouts. And I just, when I never used to like it, depending on how you prepare the food, can make a difference in how you enjoy the food. So thank you for sharing that with us. And what I'm going to ask Yazmin to do is to have you think about what your favorite thing is to prepare, whether it be a Latin dish or a regular American dish, whatever it is that you prepare that you like to prepare, and share it with my group on Tuesdays. On Tuesdays, I have something in my group called Tuesday Tastings, where some of the members of the group will share some of their favorite recipes or some of the things that they've created to deal with their health. And so maybe you can think about one of your favorite meals that you like to prepare. And it can be anything. I'm into international food, so it can be Latino, it can be anything you want. But as long as it's healthy and something that you enjoy preparing, and just share that recipe with group members on Tuesday. Okay, so think about that, and you can share.
A little tidbit. What helps also in the prep of the food is that we do it together. And I think that's quality time as well. So
yeah,
like for the meal that we did today, as I'm of course I chopped up all the vegetables. He was cooking the steak, and then he put the vegetables in the same juices of the steak so it can have all that seasoning and flavor.
Nice.
Then as
That's
he
why
was
it
doing
looks so
that,
good.
She was doing the
I was
scallops.
doing the scallop. So, and we were
And
there.
as we cooking, we were
We're talking, and
we had
That's
a great
great quality time together. That is great quality time. And that's the way you get support. That's the way you enjoy the meal together and have a positive experience. Remember, I talked about this with you a couple of weeks ago, Yazmin, about creating that atmosphere, a positive atmosphere around the food, so that you're not, some people are negatively attached to food in that when they're depressed or when they're upset, they eat, or when they're angry, they eat. But when you create a positive atmosphere around the food, it has a different connotation for you. And it's something that you are now enjoying the food. It's healthy food, number one. You're enjoying the food, number two, and you're creating an atmosphere around it and having a positive interaction with your family members and your husband and your wives, where the meal time is now a good, positive thing and not a negative thing. So that's a really good thing that you guys do that together. That really is awesome that you do that together. So yeah, anything else you want to share with us, Rick?
No, I guess that's it. We're still in the learning process, and I hope, we can get better as we going. And
Well, it looks like you're doing well so far. You guys are doing well so far. I mean, the food looks good. You're doing it together. You're creating those moments where you're sharing, quality time together. You guys are doing great. And then your support when you went out and got all those different kinds of fish. I thought, wow, talk about really being supportive, right?
Yeah.
But the support needs to come in day by day. He wanted to do that fish support on one day.
One day.
So the story
But it was awesome. I thought it was great that he did that. I thought it was great.
So everybody may understand what the joke behind it.
Yeah, explain.
I did a scan, and my scan said that I needed to add more fish to my diet.
Right.
So, we're not, he loves seafood. I really, like my shrimp. I'll eat scallops. I'll eat some fishes, but not all. So he decided to be supportive and be adventurous at the same time. After he got out of work, he stopped at the market and got 3 different types of fish that we've never eaten before. And instead of doing one, each day, he was like, no, let's pick them all. Let's taste them all.
I love that when she told me that story.
I had my fill of fish. I mean, I know which ones I like now and which ones I don't.
So which ones did you end up liking out of the three?
It was
Salmon is
the-
one of our top choice.
yeah, but it wasn't. You didn't buy it that day. He bought like an Alaskan codfish,
Codfish? Uh-huh.
and he bought this other type of whitefish. I don't know what it was,
I
but
didn't like the swordfish.
the swordfish was not our
the fish
favorite.
was a little hard. I didn't like it.
Yeah. So you didn't like the swordfish and you got a white
No.
codfish and there was another fish that you got. But salmon
Yeah.
is one of my favorites. So I'm, you know, I'm glad you like salmon because salmon I could eat every day and not get sick of it. I love salmon.
Well,
Yes.
on a different day, I got grouper, and I love grouper. The only bad side of grouper is that when you're cooking it, it just
flakes?
it starts
Yeah.
breaking. But I loved it. I mean, it's even a good fish because it breaks so much. For a salad, instead of adding chicken, add it to your salad. You know, because it comes out like in crumbles.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to go get me some grouper for the weekend. I'm gonna get some tomorrow. I think I'm gonna try that. Based on your recommendation, I'm gonna get me some grouper. Yep. And since salads is my thing, I'm gonna put it on a salad.
All
That's what I'm
right.
gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do. All right, so I'm gonna move right along with some more questions that I have for you. So you told us a little bit about how you decided to leave medications out of the mix. Tell me a little bit about your holistic journey versus the medications. Bye, Rick.
Bye. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, bye. So tell us a little bit about the holistic path that you started to take in terms of your wellness.
So, okay, so the reason why I got more into holistics, I'm gonna have to go a little bit further back. When I was diagnosed with lupus, I suffered from lupus for a very long time, and you don't get diagnosed with lupus right away because there's no one test that says, okay, you have lupus. What they do is an overall test that shows your levels of what's it called, antibodies, and if it's over if it's over a limit, then what's considered to be normal, then they start saying that you have an autoimmune issue, an autoimmune disease. But they don't diagnose you right away. They have to continue to watch you, monitor you, and I was having flare-ups like every month. It got really bad. So they put me on this medication for lupus. At first, I didn't want to go. Like I said, I was reluctant because I've had bad reactions to medications prior. And prior to being diagnosed with lupus, I suffered a seizure in my sleep.
Wow.
And they gave me, and this is during and it was lupus induced. So they gave me this medication for seizures to try to, like, it was a very low dosage, and just one pill gave me the worst side effects again. And that's when I grew a fear of medication, because that particular medication made me forget everything. I would get up to do something and I would just hit one step and I would forget completely where I was going.
Wow.
So it was very scary. I couldn't form sentences. So it got really scary for me, and I didn't want to do, and it took 3 days for it to wash out of my system. Just one day.
Wow.
So that's when I went to my doctor more frequent. She was seeing me more frequent with my my flare-ups. She said, I think do you want to start lupus medication? I said, well, do you think I have lupus? And she said, no. I said, well, then no. Well, I'm not going to take a medication for a diagnosis that I still don't have. So they were treating me for symptoms. They would give me steroids for the pain, for the inflammation, and that gave me a bad reaction. I almost died because of a bad mix of steroids and this other medication.
Gotcha.
I was sent to the hospital. I couldn't breathe. I was literally dying. And it just, all of that kind of puts things into perspective, for you.
Right.
And so when I got diagnosed, when I finally got diagnosed with lupus because of everything that was going on, she got me on the medication. I started reacting really well to that one. That one didn't give me any adverse reactions. So after a year and a half, she said, you know what, I think I'm gonna take you off the lupus medication to see how you're doing. So prior to her doing that, what I started doing is reading up on everything anti-inflammatory supplements. And
Okay.
I started adding that to my diet. That's where some of these supplements that I'm going to be talking about came in first.
Gotcha.
And they helped me. I even did CBD oil, and that helped.
Wow. And
And
that
that helped.
helped.
Yes. So when I went to see her for her to take me off the medication, I was fine with it. I was like, yeah, sure. And that's been 3 years now.
Gotcha. So obviously then medications don't play nice with you.
They
So
don't.
that has also helped you to think about more natural ways and other holistic ways to take and manage your challenges. So I understand. I really do understand. All right. So in terms of the more recent management of your diabetes, how has it changed now? I mean, how are you dealing with it now than, let's say, 3 months ago? Is it better for you now that you're beginning to learn some different ways to eat and do better meal planning, or have you still got a ways to go? Tell me a little bit about that transition.
Um, it like my husband said earlier, it's a work in progress, you
Okay.
know. It's going to be a continuous work in progress, right?
Okay.
Because life happens, and
Yeah.
things in life trigger also. You could be on a positive road and upbeat, and things in life will trigger something, and then you're beating yourself up over the diagnosis, over whatever it is, and you could spiral in different ways.
Right.
So I found myself with this diabetes diagnosis. I think the worst time was, I was positive, I was gung-ho to do this journey and to be really strict, and I was very positive in doing so. But my downfall was 3 weeks into it, when I saw that my numbers weren't changing, and I had completely changed everything,
Gotcha.
right? I changed my eating habits, and I started crying. I just started crying, and my husband said to me, "Don't worry, we're gonna beat this. We're gonna beat this." He kept saying that to me, and that was a bad day for me. And after that, that was my worst day. After that, I kind of get better again. Then I started changing other things. So I started trying to find, because I kept checking my levels, seeing what I was eating or whatever. I started changing things, adding other supplements into my routine, and I started seeing my numbers come down. I even started somewhat of the intermittent fasting. So that also helped with my numbers come down. So it's a matter of, everybody's body is different.
Right.
Everybody's body is going to act different. My
Yep.
emotional state now, it's still up and down. I'm not going to lie, it's still up and down. But I have better days than others. And my down days, I don't beat myself up
Gotcha.
about the disease.
Right.
I yes, do I want to, what I do sometimes, and when I do have a down day, I'll be like, oh, it's not so much that I have a bad addiction to the food, but
Mm-hmm.
because I am so aware of what I'm eating and structured in what I'm eating, because I have to do it this way, I feel, and it makes me feel safe to do it this way.
Okay.
Um, that day, I'll probably say, you know what, I'm just going to have something that I can't have, but I'm still cautious, and I do it in moderations, because
Gotcha.
at first I would call it, oh, I spiraled off, or I fell off the wagon. And you kept scolding me and saying, you didn't fall off your wagon. You were still mindful of the amount that you ate. So you're still on the wagon.
Yeah.
You're the one that helped me in changing the process of me thinking of that way. But yeah,
Yes.
those are the days that I don't binge, but I'll eat something that I want, and
Yeah.
I'll eat it in portions and little moderations, just to satisfy
Yeah.
that whatever I'm feeling.
So tell
And
the audience how that helps you, because a lot of people, when they first get diagnosed or even during, they feel like they cannot have chocolate or they cannot have their favorite thing anymore ever again. when that's not necessarily the case, talk to them about how you are able to have whatever it is that you want, but have a little bit of it or have it in moderation and not feel like you can't ever have it again. And how has that affected your sugar? When do you take your sugars after you've, let's say, had something that you really wanted that maybe may not have been on the plan?
I
And
do.
how
And
has it affected it?
it does go up. It does go up. It's natural for it to go up, but
Yep.
you know what? It regulates itself after that day. Like the next day is a new day. It's not. It doesn't keep it at those high levels, right? It's just that little short time that your body is trying to metabolize the whatever you took in that causes you or your blood sugar to go up, and then once a certain amount of time or the next day, your body kind of like resets because your body is made to really heal itself.
Yes.
It's the problem is not the body, it's what we put into our
Yeah.
body.
And I'm
So if
really
we're
glad that you said that. I'm really glad that you said that because it's the continuous high levels of sugar that
Mhm,
have the really devastating effects on your body. But a
mhm,
spike that really goes down quickly the next day because you're not on this trend of high sugar. You've just had that one indulgence, it went up, and then you went back on your plan. And I'm glad that you said that because it's people need to understand that what causes the issues is the continued or maintained high levels of sugar that are not controlled, that are not managed, that causes
mhm.
the issue. So I'm glad
Yes.
you said that. So was there something else you wanted to add to that? You were about to say something else.
Well, my thing is, because I have fibromyalgia, and that's a disease, people think that's an autoimmune disease. If you have autoimmune issues, it'll affect your autoimmune issues,
Uh-huh.
but it's more a nerve. It's in your nerves, actually.
Ah,
And having that and having my nerves already affected through the fibromyalgia, I think I became a little bit more sensitive, and now I have neuropathy.
gotcha.
And so that doesn't go away. The neuropathy, my sugar levels could be okay. The neuropathy is still there. So that's
Gotcha.
something, but I hope that, all of this, I can speak to someone that maybe is in the starting stages. And even if you're in this long-term journey with this disease, that you can be mindful, but also, I mean, I know that sometimes we tend to beat ourselves up when our numbers are really horrible,
Yeah.
because it does affect everything in our body. It
Yeah.
does. I'm very in tune with my body because of the lupus already. So I
Right.
already knew there was something wrong when my sugar levels were high. Um, and you beat yourself, but you know what? You shouldn't. You should talk about we talk more about the downsides of it, and I
Yeah.
think we need to celebrate the little victories. Hey, if even if
Yes.
your numbers went down 10, you were 145 and now you're 135, or you're 235 and you're 225 now, I think we should celebrate those little victories, because that helps us continue in our journey to want to continue to succeed.
I
um
couldn't have said it better myself. That's exactly right, Yasmin. You have to celebrate the small victories because that propels you to keep moving and to keep going in the right direction, especially when you have one of those indulge days when your sugar does spike a little bit. It lets you know that, well, if you change tomorrow or if you leave room for that indulgence and then go back onto your plan, that you'll be okay. You really will be okay. So it's important that you said that. So have you found that there's certain foods that actually help your condition better or not? Have you found certain foods that you've been introduced to now that help your condition better than what you used to eat? Have you found any
uh,
certain foods that you like?
I love food, but
Yeah,
um taking away the ones that are really damaging, and
yeah,
just continuously to focus on the ones, you could do your carbs, but the good carbs,
yes,
the complex carbs. But you don't have to do a lot of it. Don't do a lot of it either. You could just be everything in moderation, I think is the key. Here is moderation. Everything in
Gotcha.
moderation. I think even good foods can be bad if done excessively, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So, is there a one particular food that I think is helping? No, I think it's just being completely mindful of what I'm eating, my moderations, and just the supplements that I've been using and the things and the routines that I've been doing, I feel are the ones that have been made me more successful than
So
anything.
let's talk about those supplements. Show the audience and talk about some of the things that you've been taking holistically that helped you or that are helping you now with your management of your medical challenges. So let's talk about that.
Okay, so one of the biggest ones that you hear a lot about is cinnamon. And
Right.
cinnamon is really good. Cinnamon is an antioxidant. It also helps you with inflammation and also helps regulate your sugar levels.
Gotcha.
So when I had lupus, I started drinking mud water. I don't drink coffee. My husband wanted to wean me off the caffeine that I was taking from the drinks like the Pepsis and the Cokes and stuff. So he read into something and we got introduced to mud water. Mud water has a lot of different supplements in it. It has what's it called? Lion's mane, it has cinnamon, it has ginger, it has all these natural supplements which help you with energy. So if you're someone that wants to wean off the coffee, it's a really good that's what it was actually made for, was coffee. The person that made it wanted to get off caffeine, but wanted to take a drink that would give him the same energy that caffeine gives you. And he came
Gotcha.
up with mud water. So I started doing that because of all the ingredients in it is good for they're mostly all anti-inflammatory. So I
Gotcha.
started doing it when I had my lupus, but like all things, I get off of it and then I got back on it for a while and then I get off of it. When I got diagnosed, I went back to it. One for energy, one for inflammation, of course, and because it had cinnamon. And I started doing mud water, and that has helped me tremendously. Now, I used to do 2 of the little envelopes of sugar, raw sugar, with my mud water because it is very strong and bitter. But I found my husband's research. We researched different cinnamon teas, and we found one that we really like, and it's called Harney and Sons.
Harney and Sons. Tell us where you can get that.
I believe you got it on Amazon. Yeah, Amazon.
So I want everyone to see that, and I'm going to say it again for everyone who cannot see it. It's Harney and Sons tea. And so you put that tea with your mud water, you were saying to me.
Earlier, yes. So first I was doing the tea separately and the mud water separately.
Gotcha.
But then I couldn't tolerate the mud water. I kept telling him, "Oh, I'm about to give up on this mud water because it's so I didn't like it without the sugar." So then this tea is very strong in cinnamon. Okay, very strong. And I thought I would drink the tea, but I would take my time drinking it because it's so strong in cinnamon. And I love cinnamon. Then I said, instead of having 2 different drinks,
make it one.
Make it one. So I said, let me try since mud water already has cinnamon in it, let me try the cinnamon tea with the mud water. And I found my solution. I don't need sugar. I can drink my mud. I get my cinnamon tea and my energy booster for the morning with these 2 combinations. And
wow.
Voila,
there you go. So you killed 2 birds with 1 stone. So tell us a little bit about what else. Yeah, you killed 2 birds with 1 stone. So tell us a little bit about what else you take or what helps you.
Okay, so I started taking a lot of things. Now I've cut back. But before I start telling everybody about these supplements, I really, really suggest that everybody check with their doctors first, and you do your own research when viewing all of these things. Because sometimes, like I said, supplements are good for you, but too much of a good thing can also be a bad thing.
Exactly.
So be very
mindful. Glad you
mindful.
prefaced that. Yes. I'm glad you prefaced that by saying that.
Randy Jackson is one. We all know that Randy Jackson is a type 2 diabetes as well.
Right.
And he came up with Unify. This is a how do you call it, Uchi? This is a it's a prebiotic and probiotic.
Gotcha.
And he promotes this is really good. This has helped me stabilize my body, the function of my body, of everything. It's been really, really good for me. And people with diabetes should be very mindful of probiotics and prebiotics in their bodies. So I would suggest this one.
When you say that they should be mindful, what do you mean? Is it bad for us? Is it good for us?
It's
Do we need?
good.
It's good. So
Yes.
this is that a tea? Is that also like a tea?
Nope. You could put this in either 4 ounces of water or 2 ounces of water or 8 ounces of water, and you drink it. It's really strong because it has, the ingredients in it is really strong, and it also has ginger in it. And
Okay.
ginger is really strong to drink, but ginger is really good for you, and it also helps you with your sugar levels.
Gotcha. Could I add that, let's say, to a smoothie?
No.
I couldn't add that to a smoothie.
No, but I do have other things that you can add to a smoothie.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
Unify is another one, and it's supposed, and it has prebiotic and probiotic enzymes in there that's good for you as a diabetic.
Yeah.
So that's good to
And
know. Okay.
and it also helps you metabolize, prebiotics and probiotics help you metabolize the food better as well.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So that's good to know. All right.
So my next thing that I wanted to show you, Ichi, I forgot to bring the greens. Can you bring the greens? Yes. So in the mornings, I do a really heavy shake. Because I'm not really a breakfast person, but being diabetic, we do have to have some type of food or something in our bodies, so we're not, either getting dizzy or the blood sugar getting low too much or anything like that. So I do a greens shake in the morning. I do it with 16 ounces, but you could do it with 8 ounces. Okay. And what I put in it is I put greens, I put chia, I put flaxseed. So my husband went to get the greens and I forgot to bring it. So this one is a triple omega. This was one that we recently acquired, but it has chia and it has flax seeds. And these things are all good because we need fiber in our diet. Okay. And it helps you sustain. And this is just for overall health. It's not really anything to do with diabetes, but it's for overall health. So these are good things. I add a little bit more chia because I want it to be more like heavy. So I'll add like another teaspoon of chia. And then these are the greens that we buy. They're called Amazing
Green
Grass.
Superfood. So Amazing Grace, is there a website that you get those from, or do you get those from?
Also from Amazon.
From Amazon. So I want people to understand that, of course, like Yazmin said and advised, before you start any kind of supplements, before you start, taking yourself off medications and all of that, please consult with your nutritionist, with your doctor, with your dietitian. Please consult with them first. Do your own research to find out what is good for you before you start to go ahead and do all of these supplements. But some of these I'm going to try myself because they look really, really good. Like the greens and the chia. Now I flaxseed and I do chia seeds and I do sunflower seeds and that kind of stuff. So those things I can actually put in a smoothie or put in, something like that.
And
I'll sprinkle on my salad.
I put acai in it. And all of these things, I do it as well because, with diabetes, the doctors recommend that we lose weight. Even as, to me, I'm big. I'm bigger than what I used to be, right?
But you're not overweight. I mean, you're not obese.
Well, I'm not, in what people's eyes, I'm not obese, but the doctor still recommended that I needed to lose weight, and losing weight would help me regulate my blood sugar. So all these things help you with that. It helps with you. If you're someone that is always hungry, these things will satisfy you. Gotcha. It's a good thing to take, because then when you do get hungry, it's a little bit later. You might not eat as much because it's more sustainable in your body. So that's why I say it's for overall health. Health. Gotcha. I'm gonna get into the supplements that I take. So besides my multivitamin, I take garlic.
Garlic is good.
Garlic is really good, and it's also good for people that have diabetes. It's also a natural antibiotic.
Oh,
Yes.
I didn't know about the antibiotic properties.
Yes,
Good
we
to
have
know.
a friend. We have a friend that he started eating little pieces of garlic until he was able to eat a whole clove every
Yeah,
morning to avoid all diseases.
really?
Yes. Yes.
That's good to know. That's good to know.
And
All right.
cilantro is also good. Cilantro
I
is
like
good.
cilantro.
One of the ones that really helped me a lot was the chromium.
I've heard of that. Is that chromium picolinate?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I have some of that in my closet as well. I've heard that chromium picolinate is really good for diabetics
That
to help.
helped. This one has helped my numbers
Yes,
tremendously.
yes, it really regulates
Tremendously.
those numbers. So for those of you that don't know, now you know.
Well, then you have berberine and you have magnesium complex, which they are also good for
Yeah.
diabetes. I
Uh-huh.
mean, and to control your sugar levels, and moringa. It comes in a
I've
powder
heard of
form.
moringa. I've heard of moringa.
It comes in a powder form, and I also put that in my drink in the morning.
Okay,
Moringa.
gotcha. Moringa. So you can actually get it in powder form.
Yes. And then
Okay.
lion's mane is also good. A lion's mane is also good, but out of all of them, they help you. But the one that has helped me the most, and the ones that I've seen that has helped my numbers the most, is the chromium.
Chromium picolinate. Okay, that's good to
Yeah.
know.
Yes.
All right.
And
So,
there's other shakes that we get. Where there's other shakes that we get, like the cachava.
Java. Uh-huh.
And all those things. So, like, if you want something that's chocolatey and you want it, but you still want it to be healthy, cachava is really good.
I'm gonna have to try that.
And
Kachava.
this shake also, you see, it has this one is chocolate icing. So
Oh, wow. That sounds pretty good, actually. That sounds pretty good. So, so just to know again, just to reiterate again, we're not advocating that you stop taking medications and do supplements, but we are advocating that you speak with a dietitian, a nutritionist, your doctor about embarking on anything new in addition to what they've recommended for you. So we don't want to play doctor because it's not safe to play doctor. However, we know that some of these things can be better for you. And for some people, they can help in addition to or in place of some of the regular medications that you take. But we're not advocating that. We want you to talk to your doctors first, talk to your nutritionist first before you do that. So you found that there's certain things that you have done that's helped you. And so I want to talk about how you feel now about your diagnosis of diabetes, now that you know that there's ways to maintain it. There's foods that you've introduced that you can enjoy, that you're eating more things that you didn't always eat in the past, like more fish, more chia, more cachava, more things that are holistic and helpful for you. Tell me about how you feel about your diagnosis now versus
I've
6 months.
embraced it. I've embraced it.
Good.
I think it's important to embrace it. It's not saying that you're complacent with it. It's just saying that you're aware of it. You embrace it. And by embracing it, of course, it's going to motivate you to try to do better and make your numbers better. I've continued to educate myself on it. I even spoke to my doctor, and they sent me to a program that they gave me diabetes education. So I went to classes. I took about 6 hours already of diabetes education, and it tells you how this works, exactly how it works in your body. So you can better understand what diabetes is, because we just know diabetes. We've heard of it. We may know what it may do to your body, but to really understand how the mechanism of it, of the inners of how it works actually with your body, and why it's so necessary to take care of it, I think it's key. It really opened up my eyes to a lot of things, and made me retain a lot of information, and helps me to be mindful with what I put in my body.
That's awesome. So here's what I would like to ask you. If you have any last minute encouragement or words of advice for people that are struggling not only with their diagnosis, but emotionally, as well as all the other things that go with it. have you got any advice or any last words for people that are struggling?
I do. I would just say, to me, it was really hard. And I think finding my faith and walking in my path of faith has helped. I also say that you really, this is not just a physical disease, and it's like any other diagnosis. They're not just physical, they're also mental. And as
Yes.
long as we are completely aware of how it affects us mentally, emotionally, and how it affects everyone around us, we need
Yes.
to be really mindful of that, really hone in on those feelings, because it's just like you have always said to me, these are real feelings. It's there,
They
these are not
are.
made up feelings. This is
Mm-mm.
not you being overly dramatic. This is you having real feelings. And then life is life, and you're going to have curveballs thrown to you in life.
Yes.
And I'll just give you a little history. There's mental illness in my family, really close to my family, that I've
Right.
had to deal with on a daily basis, on
Yeah.
top of everything, and an
Everything
elderly,
else.
and an elderly mother, and a business. So this is not me just, I don't have all the time in the world just to focus on on what's going on with me, but I've
Right.
had to make the time, and it's my
Yes.
everyday life. And
Yes.
I just pray, and I hope that everybody else also be in tune with yourself, be in tune with your emotions, and get support. And if you don't have the support within your family, talk to your doctor and let them know that
Yes.
you
Talk to
need
somebody.
support, or reach out to Janice, or I'm on Facebook, reach out to me. I'm under Yazzie Roman. And I mean, or anybody that you feel like you need to reach out to and really talk to. Um, it's okay. We have our struggles, we have our daily lives, but I don't mind listening to somebody else and giving them support in the time that they need it.
I'm with
It's
you
like
on that.
it's like you've told me it helps you sometimes deviate from what you're going through, and it also
Yeah.
helps me knowing that I help someone else. So it's about paying it forward. It's
Yeah.
about creating with amongst ourselves a positive community, and a
Oh
very
my gosh.
supportive community,
You
because every diagnosis, every disease is seen in a negative light. And okay, yes, it changes your life, but it doesn't have to stop your life.
but preach. You better preach. Wow, that is, I couldn't have said it better. Yazmin, you said it all in a nutshell right there. And I also want to say that if you don't take time for your wellness, you will have to make time for your illness,
Yes,
right? So it's
definitely.
important that you take the time for your wellness, because if you don't, you will certainly have to take time and sit up and take notice of your illness. And that's when you can actually take care of your wellness now and avoid the consequences of not doing that. So
Yes,
thank you for that advice. Thank you for being with me today. Thank
thank you
Rick
for
for
having me.
being a guest as well, and all the input that he's putting into your life and the family's life and his own health, and that he's now listening to good advice, not taking himself off of medications arbitrarily and playing doctor, and that he continues taking the supplements that you guys are doing and working together and cooking meals together and spending that quality time together. I think that's a beautiful thing. So again, thank you, Yazmin, for doing this. And I know that your story and your journey has helped and impacted a lot of people who are listening today. So thank you again, once again. And we're going to have to do this again, do some follow-up and see where
Yes,
you are in a couple of months from now, especially now that you're on this lifestyle change. How are you feeling and what's going on with you, and what things are you really embracing that, after being on this journey for a few months? So we're going to do a follow-up. Okay.
yes. I want to say thank you for having me. I love
Yep.
you. I love your
Oh,
community. I just want to say that I love you guys. I love you all. Let's just continue to be positive and just continue to embrace everyone and be positive in every aspect of our life, not only
yep.
in our medical journey.
Yep. I just wanted to say that you can find Yazmin on Yazzie Roman on Facebook. You can also find my group under Jenisys Solutions Type 2 Diabetes. I'm going to spell Jenisys because it's a take on my name, but it's spelled a little differently. So it's Jenisys, Jenisys, Jenisys Solutions Type 2 Diabetes. And if you would stop by and just share your thoughts, drop us a comment, let us know if you enjoyed this interview today. It will be uploaded very soon, and we will be talking to you again in a few months, doing a follow-up with Yazmin and her husband to find out where they are in their journey and how well they're doing. So for now, bye for now.
Bye.